Devy Degens, welcome into another episode of the Devy Degens. I'm SC Romero, my co-host Tom Harvey at Tom Harvey Sports, and today we're getting back into our rankings. So if you've been following us, we did our top 15 ranking per position. We're starting off with the quarterback this week, plus players that caught our eye and games we are looking forward to this next week. All that and a little bit more on the Devy Degens.
Breaking down the hate, man, we call it like we see it. Finding all the gems while the rest just sleeping. Freshmen to the league, we ahead of the curve. Picking out the next star, put them on the reserve. From the big time schools to the deep cut finds. Gotta know who's next when it's draft day time. Stock rising, playmaking, watch them ball out. Devy Degens, yeah, no doubt. Yo, it's time to talk the future Devy style. Prospects rising, diamonds shining. Only the real ones grinding. Welcome to the Devy Degens, let's go. Let's go!
Gotta know who's next when it's draft day time. Stock rising. Devy Degens. I'm SC Romero, my co-host Tom Harvey at Tom Harvey Sports. How you doing today, Tom?
Living the dream, buddy. Living the dream.
Beautiful.
Had to deal with some snow today. So
Woo-hoo. There you go. Hopefully a white Christmas. Hopefully it doesn't stop Santa from visiting your house. You know, the snow can be a little tricky. You know, you get a little slippery, a little icy there on the roads. For all those that, dealing with the snow, hope you're driving safe and tuning into us as well, because like the snow as it sticks, so do our rankings sometimes. We're going to talk about some of our rankings that the guys didn't really stick. They kind of fell out of our top 15.
Yeah, these rankings are a little icy, a little slick, slipping
Yeah.
all over the place with them.
Oh yeah, that's what we like to do, though. And mention the song, stock rises. Some of these guys, their stock rise, and we like what we're seeing. And it's, we weren't talking to them before the season, and we're like, all right, we gotta be talking about these guys. Before we get into our top 15 rankings, though, for our quarterback position, Tom, let's start talking about some weekend people that caught our eyes this past weekend for a recap here. Started with USC running back King Miller. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, another big game for him. 15 carries, 127 yards, and a touchdown. A guy that came into USC as a preferred walk-on, and now he's taken over that job with Jordan and Sanders hurt. And I mean, he's a freshman, so I mean, he's got the build. He obviously has the talent. This guy needs to be talked about more. He needs to be talked about more in Devy circles.
For sure. Do you think Waymon Jordan's healthy? He comes back. Do you think King Miller gives up that spot? Do you think it's his?
I think it's going to be a split. I mean, Waymon Jordan is one of the best running backs in the country, so it's difficult to say that he's not going to get his share whenever he comes back. But he may be kind of eased into it a little bit more.
For sure. I actually love King Miller. His stock needs to rise. Probably gonna, be one of your top running backs taking in next year's Devy drafts and everything. But his teammate, you're Devy wide receiver 1 right now, or at least for the 2026 class, not wide receiver 1, because obviously Jeremiah Smith, who we'll talk about. But Mekhi Lemon also had a big game this past week. Well, what about him?
Yeah, Mekhi Lemon, 11 catches, 161 yards, and a touchdown. He needs to be talked at. He needs to be talked about with the main Heisman contenders. I don't have him in my top 5, but he's right there at it.
Yeah.
And the more USC continues to win, the more he needs to be kind of pumped up in that type of stratosphere.
Right. Jamie, thank you for joining, man. Always a pleasure seeing you on here as well. But Mekhi Lemon, I mean, he's super fluid in this movie. He rose up to mine. I know you had him before I had him as the wide receiver 1 there, but he's absolutely a stud. He's going to be a top 15 pick, possibly top 10. He's an amazing athlete. I saw something today on X where it was like, can't believe USC at one point had Michael Pittman, Drake London, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, right? Just a nice little core there. USC's talk about pumping out wide receivers. They pump out some good wide receivers, and Mekhi Lemon's going to be the next of that. Speaking of good wide receivers, Devy Degens has been following these guys for a while, but arguably wide receiver another first-round wide receiver coming out in this class in 2026, and Cardinal Tate. Next year, another first-round wide receiver coming out in the class of 2027. That's Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver out of Ohio State. He had a big game this week, too. What happened with him?
Yeah, 10 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. He was he's always the primary focus, but he was even more so this week with Cardinal Tate not playing.
Yeah, for sure. Absolute stud there, doing great things. And you're starting to see it's scary that him and Julian Sayin are building better chemistry each game, it seems like.
Mhm.
And they're going to be together next year, and that's going to be pretty dominant. We thought Ohio State was unbeatable before. It looks like Jamie's a fan here, the Buckeyes. I mean, they're going to be pretty dominant next year. I love Cardinal Tate, but the guys that are behind him, they might be a little bit scarier. Not to mention they're gonna have a solid rookie coming in, or freshman, I should say,
Yeah,
coming in that we'll talk about as well.
well, they also just flipped a wide receiver from Tennessee today, Legend Bay.
They got him too. He committed for next. Is he 2026? Yeah, for him.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He
So
uh, apparently he's heard more from them about being able to play running back also, which
okay,
is kind of what he was wanting to do. He wants to be more of an athlete, not necessarily be pigeonholed as a wide receiver.
gotcha.
Um, and that's kind of what Tennessee was looking at him as a wide receiver only.
Yeah,
But if Ohio State's willing to give him a look at running back, then that's kind of
yeah,
what he wants to do too.
yeah. I mean, he's like, hey, well, Bo Jackson's looking nice, but maybe you could beat out James People, right, and go out there. So be interested to see what
Well,
happens. Yeah.
he's also a really small guy. I mean, he's 5'8",
Mm.
170. So
Seems to be more like a gadget, a satellite
mhm,
type of back for them, which would be
yeah.
good. I mean, he plays wide receiver. That means he has the hands there too, right?
Mhm.
Speaking of guys that are running back, Nate Frazier. I mean, he had a career day this past week at Mississippi State. Absolutely dominated. Something that I've been wanting to see all season. He went out there and did it this week. What did he do?
Yeah, this guy went for about 15 yards a carry,
Yeah,
12 carries, 181 yards and a touchdown.
yeah,
This was the best we've seen Nate Frazier look ever. Um,
right.
and he put up a dominant performance, against Mississippi State.
Mhm.
Granted, it's Mississippi State, but that's still a
We
SEC caliber school, right? So,
right.
big time game from Frazier. What we've been looking for, from him for a long time.
Right. I've seen Mississippi State upset some people, and I've seen them have a good defense to at least not go like that. So it is pretty
Mhm.
impressive seeing that. I mean, like you said, 15 yards per carry, just about absolute dominant performance. What we've been wanting to see. When I had him as WRB1, this is what I thought. Oh, this is the Nate Fraser we're going to see. The one he finally came out and did against Mississippi State there.
Mhm.
IDP got out here for Texas Tech, Jacob Rodriguez
Yeah.
as well.
Best linebacker in the country right there, Jacob Rodriguez
Okay.
out of Texas Tech.
Yeah.
This guy should be getting some Heisman love here too. He had 14 tackles, 9 solos, a tackle for loss, interception, which I think is his third of the year, and I think he's forced like 7 fumbles already this year.
Nice. So
Um,
hard hitter.
yeah, I mean, this guy does it all for that defense.
And that was a big game, against BYU. They really showed
Mhm.
out and shut them out. My guy Chase Roberts had a good game, and that was really all that happened in BYU for them. They only scored 7 points. That was with Chase Roberts, but Texas Tech went out there and dominated. They said, "Hey, we're the team to beat in the Big 12, right?" So it's still a close race between the Big 12. They might see each other again in the championship, but very nice to see them come out and show, "Hey, we're a team still force out here, even though we had a loss
Mhm.
there." Wide receiver Cam Coleman. Actually, we have a pair of Auburn receivers, Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton, both with some big games for Auburn. Talk to us about them.
Yeah, together they combined for 21 receptions, 245 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Good.
Both went over the century mark. Both had 10 plus catches. Both scored a touch. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's big time performance there in the loss, mind you, but still
Yeah.
big time performances by both of them.
And obviously, wins matter. I would say wins matter more for a quarterback than they do the other positions,
Mhm.
right? Because your quarterback is who gets all the blame or all the success, right, when they win or lose. Where the other positions, it's like if there was a loss, it's okay. What'd you still do, right? Like, what was your performance? Right? That's still big time performances for them. Even in the loss, you'd love to see that. That just shows they could work in tandems, and it shows you can still eat when there is someone else eating as well, which you always love
Right.
to see.
Right.
Tight end out of Vanderbilt, Eli Stower, someone that's gonna be a top 3 tight end in this class. Possibly early day 2 type of pick there. He had a big performance too. What did you do?
Yeah, so that's in that same game against Auburn. Went 12 catches, 122 yards out of the tight end spot there.
Mhm.
One of the best tight ends in the country.
Yeah.
Like you said, I probably look at him being probably the third tight end off the board, honestly.
Right.
Behind Michael Trigg and Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah. That'll be dominant for them. I mean, he's a forced weapon, and he's someone that can be a great pass catcher. Great for fantasy purposes. Will also be a good NFL tight end just in general. And then last, this is a guy I know you've been talking about a lot. He continues to shine. Though Nebraska's running back Emmett Johnson. How'd he do?
Yeah, this guy absolute went off. 28 carries, 129 yards and a touchdown. on the ground, and then caught another 3 balls for 103 yards and 2 more touchdowns. He does it all. He's a very versatile wide receiver, very versatile running back, very dynamic, and he's a guy who should be shooting up draft boards. I know he probably needs to put on a little bit more weight. He's right at 200 pounds, but if this guy gets on another 10 pounds, he's you may be looking at one of the best backs in the country.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What Nebraska was missing last year was the running game. Emmett Johnson came in, and he's absolutely doing exactly what they were missing, just being a dominant runner between the tackles, outside, zone coverage, whatever you need. He could catch the ball, as you mentioned. He's someone that runs with physicality and force, but also has that explosiveness to build on that speed as well. So definitely a great guy there. That's the guys that caught our eyes this past week in the weekend recap there for you. Let's get to the bulk of the show today. We're talking our top 15 quarterbacks. Now, before the season, as I mentioned, we did our top 15 for quarterback, wide receiver, running back. We're going to talk about our top 15 from preseason, and then we're going to go into what they are now. As things adjust, guys catch our eye, and it's like, wait, this guy has some talent, and they didn't. And some guys drop out. But I'll leave it to the viewers, as we mentioned these. How many people do you think really drop out of our top 15 from what we had in the preseason? So I'll name my 15 first, then you'll name yours from preseason, and then we'll go into them now. Number 1, I had Florida DJ Lagway. Then I had Garrett Nussmeyer out of LSU, Arch Manning out of Texas, Cade Klubnik out of Clemson, Dante Moore out of Oregon, LaNorris Sellers out of South Carolina, Julian Sayin out of Ohio State, Keelon Russell out of Alabama, who's a freshman, hasn't seen the field yet. Bryce Underwood out of Michigan, freshman. Eli Holston out of Pittsburgh. Man, I hate that one. Dylan Raiola out of Nebraska. Sam Levet out of Arizona State. Carson Beck out of Miami. And then John Mateer out of Oklahoma. Tom, what were your 15 like?
My started off the same way you did. My number 1 was DJ Lagway. My number 2 was Cade Klubnik. My number 3 was Arch Manning. Number 4 was Bryce Underwood. 5 was Garrett Nussmeyer. 6 was Dante Moore. 7 was Keelon Russell. 8 was Dylan Raiola. 9 was Sam Levitt out of Arizona State. Number 10 was Julian Sayin. Number 11, Drew Aller. 12 was Carson Beck. 13 was Sawyer Robertson out of Baylor. 14, LaNorris Sellers. And number 15 was Nico Iamaleava out of UCLA.
Nico I'm pronouncing I'm saying that
Iamaleava.
There you go. Although my tongue's getting twisted here today. Man, he was great. He had some big time performances, but not enough to really push the button. I don't know. Does he have another year of eligibility?
He does, right? 2 years of eligibility. Yeah, he's a redshirt sophomore this year.
Gotcha. So 2 years. So he's probably stayed. We'll see what happens there. But those were our preseason quarterback ranks. The thing about Devy is when we look at these guys, so much happens year to year. Sometimes we see progression, sometimes we see regression, sometimes we see guys that weren't even talking about that come out here and just dominate and look great, right? When it comes to ranking your quarterbacks, what are you looking at specifically in overall in the ranks here?
What I'm looking at a lot is just the way that just what their game looks like, honestly.
Right.
What their reads look like, what their body type is. Are they NFL ready? Do they have that kind of NFL body? Because you're able to say guys, really productive at the college level, but they don't necessarily translate, right? Marcel Reed is a guy like that. To me, he's just not a next level guy.
Right.
It's because of his size. Just a small dude. I mean, he's like 5'10", 185 pounds. He's not, he just doesn't have the size you want out of a quarterback. And then, honestly, what goes into a lot of it's also production. You want to see these guys, who are supposed to be next level guys, put up big numbers. You want to see them lead their teams to victory. You want to see them being able to go through adversity and overcome it. And honestly, that's why a lot of these guys have dropped off our list too. Just because they haven't shown us what we wanted to see from them. And honestly, they were big time disappointments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, spoiler alert: DJ Lagway did not make any of our top 15s, and that was our QB1 before the season happened. We had a lot of hope for it,
Well,
and
and you're able to see where he has talent.
mhm,
Problem is, he's never put it together.
yeah,
He's never been able to win,
mhm, yeah,
and he's just you know I think he needs a good quarterback coach.
yeah, for sure.
If he gets a good QB coach, saying
Mhm,
Lane Kiffin goes there,
right,
now all of a sudden you're looking at a guy who has unlimited potential.
right,
If he does not get a good QB coach, now all of a sudden you're looking at a guy that has just completely fallen off, right?
right. And we've seen that type of talent there before. You're all good. We've seen that type of talent there before, where it happens all the time, and it just doesn't get put together. I mean, you could say Anthony Richardson, right? I mean, I know he didn't get the production or the playing time in college, but we never saw him be coached with his production to be something great or something better, right? It always took. We see the raw talent there, but nothing has been packaged together to make it. And that's kind of where DJ Lagway is sitting right now. He's obviously getting more playing time than what Richardson did, but we haven't seen it be completed into a full package. We see pieces here and there, but it's not a completed puzzle. And that's what we see in a lot of these guys, that they don't do it. And we've seen it time and time again. They can't go to the NFL and expect that. They need to get that coaching in college and take that with them to the next level. At the next level, they have to really adjust it themselves. It's very rare that we're seeing quarterback coaching
Right.
gurus at the next level NFL, because at that point they're like, you're a grown man now, you're supposed to know what's supposed to happen and how to play this game, right? So
Yeah.
they need to do that in the college football landscape.
Well, and also something that's gone against him, especially this past week, he got benched.
Yep.
They lost 38-7 to Kentucky. It's almost
Yep.
like they've just completely quit at this point.
Yep.
So I mean, I know you have a guy on your preseason top 15 who's also been benched, and really hasn't seen the field since, and probably won't while he's still there.
Yep.
But
Talking about Holstein,
Holstein,
yeah, for
But
sure.
we'll kind of get into that here, here in a minute.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things can happen, right? Every season is different. A guy that skyrocketed completely out the next level, for example, Cade Klubnik last year going into this year, whole different type of game where it dropped him in our ranks here is just like what he did. If he would have came out last year, he'd probably be a top 5 quarterback for us. But then he saved this extra year that would hurt him, right? So a lot of things change year over year. As you mentioned, we gotta see the film. We gotta watch what they're doing, the mechanics, their hip movement, their ball placement, how they're throwing, their accuracy, what they're doing when the pressure's coming. A lot of things go into it. So when we go into our top 15, these guys have impressed us, and this is our Devy guys, right? This isn't our top 15 quarterbacks of the nation, because there are quarterbacks that are doing more production for them, but they might be at smaller schools. They may just be having a good season where we're still not necessarily seeded, or as you mentioned, like a Marcel Reed, a little bit smaller, so he's not within our top 15 on the Devy, right? Obviously, there's outliers. Marcel Reed could very well be the next Super Bowl MVP quarterback.
Right.
Right now, though, it's not, based on what we know and what we see, it doesn't look like that. So,
well, also, if we were talking about top quarterbacks in the country, as far as production, we'd be talking about guys like Drew Mestamaker at
right.
North Texas. We'd be talking about Joey Aguilar. We'd be talking,
Right.
we'd be talking about, Maverick McIver whenever he's healthy. Micah Alejado. But,
Right.
Those guys are basically strictly CFF guys.
Right.
Now, maybe, somebody like a Mestamaker or an Aguilar could end up getting drafted.
Mhm.
But they're not necessarily high-end Devy guys right now.
Right. Day 3 draft, and they had to wait for it, maybe a practice squad to start. And
Well, the good thing about Mestamaker is he's a freshman putting up those numbers. So
yeah, there's hope, and obviously, they can transfer out and do those good things as well.
Mhm.
So let's go into our top 15 here. We're gonna start off with number 1. I have Ohio State Julian saying at number 1. I just think he's doing phenomenal. This is exactly what we've been waiting to see for him. He's kind of put it together after that first game against Texas. They're obviously undefeated. They beat Texas, but he's really going out there and shining. One of the top quarterbacks in the nation when it comes to completion percentage, and really showing. Obviously, he has some of the best wide receivers in the nation. In Jeremiah Smith, Cardinal Tate, you talk about Ennis, Max Clare, has great receiving weapons. But Julian Say really a step in to a team that won a national championship and continue just that rise for the Ohio State in this dynasty era. He's really going out there and doing it. So I feel he's a top end Devy prospect. moving on to QB1 of the 2027 class and absolutely looking phenomenal. And I don't see that really going away. Even if they lose the national championship, still super impressed with what he's done. And I think he's solidified himself as one of the top prospects that we'll be talking about moving into next year as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Who was your guy?
My number one is Dante Moore. I moved him up 5 spots. To me, he has the entire package of is what you're looking for: arm strength, big time playability, good sized. You really has good mobility also, and kind of steps up whenever the moment calls for it. They were down late in the game the other day to Iowa. He had not had a good game up until that point, and then all of a sudden he just leads them back down the field for a game-winning field goal. Just kind of stepped up whenever he needed to. Speaking of stepping up whenever they needed to, that's my number 2 guy also, Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza at Indiana. Preseason he was unranked to me. Now he's my number 2 guy. Another guy who steps up, whenever his team needs him to. And, minute 51 left on the clock. Down by 4, they need a touchdown. He takes his team 80 yards for a game-winning, for the game-winning touchdown, and just throws some dimes in the process. That game-winning touchdown pass he had to Omar Cooper was unbelievable, and the pass he had the play before to the sideline where it just snuck over the defender and right into his receiver's hands, kind of falling out of bounds. Just 6'5", again, another guy who has decent mobility, can make all the throws, and he just kind of seems to have that it factor.
Yeah, Mendoza is absolutely special. I do have him ranked as 3 only because, like you said, he's one of the newer guys for me as he was for you. Absolutely doing great things, though, looking phenomenal. As you mentioned that drive, that was his Heisman Mendoza moment, right? So he absolutely showed, hey, everyone needs that, right? Dante Moore, he had a big game with Penn State this past week against Iowa, but Mendoza, 1, they're undefeated, and 2, this was that moment to say, hey, you're down, you're about to lose this game, show us what you can do, right? That Brady moment of saying you're well deserving of this, right? Obviously, there's still some games left, so there still can't be an upset, but that was a huge moment for Mendoza to put him in there.
The big one's going to be in that Big Ten championship game. Him against Julian Sayin is going to be unreal.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens. And obviously, maybe one of them takes that loss, but then they win Natty. Who knows? But my number 2 is Arch Manning. He did move up 1. Julian Sayin moved up 6 for me. Arch Manning moved up 1. Really just I was looking at it, and I'm like, man, he hasn't had a bad season. His season's been all right. Consider this is his first time taking the reps, actually being in it. I'm seeing some stuff I like. There is some stuff he still needs to polish, but he is doing good, and it's not Heisman top-notch potential, but I do see trajectory there, and I see that he can progress. Now, I have big things for him in the future. Like I hope he does do that. Next year should be going crazy. Next year he should be throwing 4,000 yards. Like he has it in his system now. Ran a full season as a starting quarterback. Next year, assuming he stays right there, something's gonna happen where he ends up leaving. But I think he stays, and I think he can have a big season next year in Arch Manning. As I said, Mendoza's 3. Who's your number 3?
My number 3 is Julian Sayin. Preseason, I think I had him 10th. Now I have him moved up to number 3, so I moved him up 7 spots. Again, it's a lot of what you said earlier. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but still has decent enough size. And he's just deadly accurate, just pinpoint type of thrower.
For sure. And he's showing that he can evade that pressure in the backfield as well. So number 4, though, this is where I have Dante Moore. He did move up 1 for me, really just to echo what you said. He's a great quarterback. I do think there's rumors are saying that he might stay another year. I think the playoffs is going to really determine that, right? If you win the national championship, why stay? You're at the top of the mountain, right? So, but if you lose again, I know that chip on the shoulder say, hey, we want to win it. He's in a full system again. I don't see anyone taking his spot, as far as next year, even if they bring someone in, it's his spot. So there's possibility that he could stay. But who's your number 4?
My number 4 is Ty Simpson, Alabama. He came into the preseason unranked for me. I moved him up to number 4. He is a legit first round quarterback in this next draft class. And he's getting a lot of love, kind of top 5 type of draft pick too. with a guy who's going to get that type of draft capital,
Mhm.
you got to look at it. You got to take him seriously.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's my number 6 guy. My number 5 is Bryce Underwood. That's who I'm gonna have before as my number 4 is more. Bryce Underwood moved up 4. I'm just really ecstatic. He continues to see growth. I know he's having his freshman flaws, but I really think we get 2 more seasons of Bryce Underwood, Andrew Marsh. They're gonna bring in more running backs. I think there's something special in Bryce Underwood, and he's gonna be talked about as a QB1 of his class. There's a lot of good freshmen here, but Bryce Underwood's still looking nice, and I believe Michigan's gonna build around him.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Arch Manning. He's actually down 2 spots for me, but that's not really a slight on him at all. He has played better since the first couple weeks of the season. He's actually looking like a legit NFL prospect quarterback now.
Right.
And a guy who, could potentially be the number 1 draft pick next year.
Right.
2027 class. 2027.
Yeah. And that's where, again, they have a big game we'll talk about later in this episode. But, if they end up winning out and make the playoffs and they win a national championship, we maybe talk about him leaving, right? Because that becomes a big part. But I do think right now he does stay as far as where they're at in the season, what he's doing. I don't think he really put it all on tape on what he wants to. But again, national championship changes that. So we'll see. Number 6, I do have Ty Simpson, really, new to my list here. I didn't think he was going to have the spot for long. I said he's going to be Keelon Russell or Austin Mack at the end of it. Ty Simpson's proved me wrong. He's been deadly accurate with his passes. He's doing great things with the Alabama offense. An offense that doesn't have a true running game. He's really been the focal point and really made sure they stepped out after that one loss against Florida State, was it, their first week? So, he's really stepped up and turned it around for Alabama. Right now I think they're number 4 in the country. So he's looking great for him. Who's your number 6?
My number 6, Bryce Underwood. Again, another guy who's dropped down 2 spots for me, but again, it's not a major slide on him at all. He still reminds me a lot of Vince Young whenever Vince was a freshman. To me, it's the same type of game. I think he's actually a better passer than what Vince Young was. He's not overly accurate right now, but I think he'll get there.
Yeah. No, I absolutely love Underwood, what he could do for him. 7. This is we both have new guys for 7. Who's your guy?
My guy at number 7 is Brendan Sorsby out of Cincinnati. Another guy who could potentially be QB1 in next year's draft class. And he has another year eligibility. He could potentially come out for 2026. I think he's probably going to stay for 2027. I think that would be the better play for him anyways. But his play style reminds me a lot of Josh Allen, big, thick type of runner. He's, I think, 6'3", but he's about 235 pounds and will just straight up truck you. Got a big time cannon for an arm, can make every throw in the field. And this guy's a winner, man.
We're at 7-2 right now. Are they currently ranked? They are, I do believe. Sorry, I'm just looking at Cincinnati. Oh, they are ranked 22.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the way the quarterback class is shaking up, that's why I was looking at it. If he continues to play the trajectory is, I don't know why he would stay. I mean, he could end up being, like you mentioned, the first round prospect. I mean, we might see him go here with the way the quarterbacks have fallen. Before the season, I always said no way, like it's such a deep class. But he's really shown out a lot compared to other quarterbacks we had previously to say, hey, I'm one of the top guys that's going to be talked about. So we'll be able to see what his trajectory is and what he can do. Cincinnati has produced some quarterbacks in the past, and he's the next one there for him. New guy for me, I have Sawyer Robertson, who is your number 8 there. Really what you kind of echoed, before about Sawyer Robertson, just a big arm, has prototypical size, has the IQ for the game. I really think he is a winner, even though the record doesn't show. He can go out there and make some big plays, and I think the right team can use a quarterback like Sawyer Robinson. He's your number 8, though. Talk to us about him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his fault his team doesn't play any defense.
Right.
His team scores over 40 points a game, I think. So, the offense is doing its job. He's doing his job. He leads the country in passing yards, or at least it did coming into this past week, and they were off. So he may not still. But, he has some turnover issues. Needs to clean that up a little bit. But, a guy, he's got big time potential. He's up 5 spots in my rankings from the preseason. And honestly, I thought about putting him higher. But just kind of looking at the guys I have in front of him, I think he's probably about right at number 8.
Well, when we talk about my number 8, this is the only guy that stayed the same. They didn't move at all. Is Alabama's Keelon Russell, and why I have him there is because what we're seeing what Ty Simpson do. I do think Keelon Russell is the better athlete. I think he's gonna go out there and he's just gonna really replicate everything Ty Simpson does. And they're just saying you can't in today's world you can't make anything new. You can only make something better. I think Keelon Russell can make that offense even better than what Ty Simpson has done right now. I think his accuracy is superb. I think he has the ability to break tackles in the backfield and make extended plays for his wide receivers to get open. I'm excited to see what Keelon Russell does, especially in the DeBoer system. He's going to go out there and shine. My comp to him early is I see some Lamar Jackson to him. I say that lightly because, people are like, he's not the next Lamar Jackson, all that. But he does play like him. Like, look at the way he throws. It is similar to Lamar Jackson. And there are times where you're like, is he a quarterback or a running back? He does have that athleticism to go make those big plays. So I absolutely love Keelon Russell and what he could do. And I think he's going to be a top-end talent for years to come here as well. Mm-hmm. Now, number 9, this is actually the one where we both have it the exact same. I have Dylan Raiola. He moved up 2 for me. You have Dylan Raiola. He moved down 1 for you. He really showed this year. He's showing. It's hard because he was showing some great things at first, and then he's showing some slip ups as well. And it's really some of the things we saw at the end of last year too, where it's like there was a point where it's like, all right, you're growing. I'm seeing your growth, and now he's kind of slipping back into it. And trying to figure out he's out for the season. If I'm not mistaken. So obviously he's going to stay there. But I do like what I see. I do think he's in a good system enough to really help him grow further. He just he moved up for me, right? But I do need to see more for him as well to push him over that hump to be 2027 QB1. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean I think he's going to be right there with guys like Julian Sayin and Arch Manning and Brendan Sorsby. Kind of pushing for that QB1 type of spot. To me, he's probably more of a late first round quarterback to me. Okay. Whereas I think the other 3 guys are, probable top 10 picks.
Right.
But Raiola has he's got all the ability. I want to see him put it all together consistently for an entire season.
Right. For sure. I think that's the big key, to show for a full season, to show that you can actually make it happen. Again, the losses do play the effect, right? But if you're just going out there and having good games, your defense is losing the games. That's why you watch the tape. Is sometimes it's not the quarterback. Obviously, the quarterback needs to put up the points with the offense. But if it comes down to the final play and defense loses the game, you can't blame the quarterback for that loss, right? So you have to pay attention to certain games and see what they're doing and how they actually lost. Which brings me to 10. A guy that's completely new on my list, Duke's quarterback Darian Mensah. This is a guy that at Tulane he was balling out, got the bag, went to Duke, and he is actually on a tear with Duke in the ACC. He has the prototypical size, 6'3", 220. Looks great, with his arm. He is hitting guys left and right. Cooper Bartek is now on my Devy radar just because of what Darian Mensah is doing with him. I'm like, all right, I need to watch more Cooper Bartek kind of film there. But Mensah's really improved for me, and I absolutely think there's a shot that he may be a top quarterback that we're talking about as far as a draft pick, at least in day 2. He hasn't pushed it to day 1 yet. At least in day 2 type of pick, based on his size, based on his athleticism, his accuracy, and what he's doing at Duke. We're not talking about Duke a lot, and rightfully so. It's not basketball that we talk about here, but he's looking phenomenal to really put Duke on a whole different trajectory, in my opinion.
Sure. To me, he's a guy who needs to exhaust all of his eligibility, mainly because of what Duke is paying him. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
He's getting broke off there to like $4 million a year or whatever it is to play
right.
Duke. That he's going to continue to raise his draft profile while there. So I think he needs to exhaust all of his eligibility. And when by the time that happens, he could potentially. He could potentially come out 2028. I think is when he would exhaust all of his eligibility, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
So he could be a guy who you're looking at 2028, like, man, this is one of the top guys.
Right. And obviously the age will play a factor in there, but you have some guys where sometimes that comes out benefits them, right? So he looks phenomenal if he continues this again with Duke. We'll see. It'll be different. We lose some of his veteran wide receivers and brings in a new bunch, but still I mean, for a guy like that that's played at Duke, you're probably not looking at top round capital. So you have to consider that, as you mentioned, go get the bag, make that money at the NIL deal, and then if you get drafted, awesome. But you might end up being practice squad. But we'll see. I like what I'm seeing. I think he could be something special. Who's your number 10?
Yeah, my number 10 is Keelon Russell. We haven't seen him play at all this year, but just looking at his film from high school, he's got all the tools, and he's going to be the next guy up for Alabama. They're going to turn the reins over to him next year, I think. Right. There's a lot of talk about Austin Mack, but I just think it's going to be Keelon Russell moving forward.
Yeah, when it comes down to this, Austin Mack has a phenomenal arm, but Keelon Russell has more traits to him there. Yep. But number 11, another guy that was new for my list, Jaron-Keawe Sagapolutele out of Cal. He's had his moments. He's also had his downfall as well. But JKS is someone that needs to be talked about more in Devy circles because as a true freshman, he's looking nice. I mean, he has like 13 touchdowns to 12 interceptions or something crazy. That's not the best stat I want to put in front of you, but he continues to look good, right? And he continues to show his mobility. He continues to show that he can be a playmaker for the team. I don't think Cal is the right team for him, so I do believe he possibly could transfer out, though. But 61% completion, 2,500 yards, 13 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but really showing some momentum in his growth there. And I think he could go somewhere else and be phenomenal. Kid out of Hawaii. Hawaii has a good trajectory in pushing out these quarterbacks that are very accurate and very mobile, and that's exactly what JKS is. And he was one of the leading people in the state of Hawaii when it comes to guys there. So I do think JKS is going to be someone that we're going to continue to talk about moving forward, and it's probably not going to be Cal in my opinion, but right now, number 13 in the country when it comes to passing yards, that's something special for a true freshman.
Yeah, let's see what transpires with other quarterbacks across the country as far as if they declare for the draft or what teams are going to be looking in the transfer portal. Like if Dante Morley, if he leaves for the draft, Oregon could come calling. Miami could come calling, with Carson Beck out of eligibility. So, I mean, you're looking at big time paydays for them potentially across the country. I'm kind of in that same boat. I don't think he stays at Cal, which would be a massive loss for them. Especially after they lost Fernando Mendoza after last season.
Right. For sure.
Because he transferred to Indiana from Cal.
Right.
But yeah, Sagapolutele has he for a true freshman, man. I'm not seeing any true freshman quarterbacks outside of Drew Mestamaker that I'm like, man, I gotta have this guy.
Right. Yeah, he's going out there doing it. Obviously, like I said, he's throwing the interceptions. Freshman flaws, I take those freshman flaws with a grain of salt because it's like, all right, I expect you to make these mistakes, right? When you're going into the college level. Same thing with like your rookies in NFL. You expect them to make these common mistakes. How do you do that second year? What are you doing there to really? They have a full season of tape on you now. So how are you adjusted to it? So this season, I like what I see. Next season will really be the full dive in on saying, all right, how are you adjusting out? They have a tape of your game and how you play as well.
Yep.
Who's your number 11?
My number 11 is John Mateer at Oklahoma. He's new to my list, but he's kind of fallen down my list as the season's gone on. Right. He had gotten up towards the very top of it, early in the year, just because we were wanting to see how his game would would translate moving into the SEC, taking on big time defenses. Then he got hurt, hadn't really been the same since. But a healthy John Mateer, he's got it, man. He's got all the juice. He's a great runner. He's a little unorthodox in kind of the way he throws the ball. Right. You'll see him make a lot of jump throws sometimes that are kind of dangerous. Right. But they work for him. So, so I've got him there at number 11. He's a guy who could potentially come out this year. And if he does, he's a potential first round draft pick. Yeah,
I really think there's something with the injury. Like because like you mentioned, he hasn't played the same since he got injured. Like something's still bothering him, right? That they're just not telling us.
Yeah, I mean, he had surgery on his thumb. So, I mean, and he came back just a couple weeks later.
Right.
I mean, that's got to be bugging him.
Right, and it's just like just the throw motions, everything. He's kind of transitioned it. He's still a great athlete, still a great player. So I'm excited to see what he could do. I have him listed a little later, but absolutely, again, a phenomenal athlete, and really could be the coaching, right? But that shows his development with that coach to say, hey, this is how you progress, because he is someone that each season he gets better. It might not be the best season for him where he's at Oklahoma, but it's in the SEC and he's still putting up good performances, right? So you love to see that there. And talk about the wide receivers there. We're not talking about them because who are they, right? It's not no offense to Deion Burks there, but it's just like these are wide receivers that aren't making the quarterbacks better. He's going to Oklahoma. He made the team better, in my opinion. Um, At number 12, I do have Arkansas's quarterback Taylen Green. He's new to my list. This guy, think of the size of like a Justin Herbert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the speed or the athleticism of Anthony Richardson showed at the combine. But then you could think of the bad mistakes that he's doing, throwing it. He plays a lot of hero ball. I feel like he's I like him more than I like LaNorris Sellers. A lot of people disagree with that, but Taylen Green is someone that is a special athlete, and I think with the right coaching, he could be something very like MVP caliber. He just needs to get that right type of coach with him.
Yeah. To me, he has more Anthony Richardson than he does anything else, honestly. Just because he's not a winning quarterback.
Yeah,
To me, top end NFL quarterbacks come from winning programs.
right.
You don't see a whole lot of losing quarterbacks who were losing quarterbacks in college move to the NFL and become winners all of a sudden. It just doesn't really happen. So I mean, a guy like Taylen Green, the guy like Anthony Richardson, kind of has me scared there. Kind of the same way with LaNorris Sellers. He won a lot last year, but this year they've fallen off a cliff, man.
Right.
And just nothing's going right there. And not that it's necessarily his fault. He doesn't have any weapons around him though either.
Yeah, but with both of them too, it's like you're throwing at the wrong times, you're running at the wrong times. Like you both had the athleticism to make those runs, you both had the arm strength to make those throws. You're just getting them mixed around. Like you need to slow down the game a lot more, be more poised in the pocket when the pressure's coming in, and deliver on those throws instead of just trying to play hero ball and deliver on throws when you get scared or go a little rattled in the pocket there as well. Who's your number 12?
My number 12 is Cade Klubnik. I had him preseason number 2. He's down 10 spots to number 12. I still think he's got plenty of talent. He's a guy who's also played a lot of hero ball this year, mainly because he's had to. That offense has looked really disjointed at times, and it doesn't help that his defense has absolutely been horrendous.
Right.
That Clemson defense was supposed to be outstanding coming into the season, and it's been terrible.
Oh yeah, they're definitely with TJ Parker and Sammy Brown, and they're supposed to have some monsters, and it's just completely
Peter Woods. Yeah, I mean, just
completely transitioned to what they had last year. That happens, right? But then that's where it comes on the quarterbacks. Like sometimes the best defense is a great offense, right? And it hasn't been that great for them as well.
Well, I mean, you look at, we talked about him earlier, Sawyer Robertson. I mean, the offense could put up 40 points a game, but it doesn't matter if the defense is going to give up 45.
Right? Exactly. And sometimes that's where we talk about. I say it again. I'm gonna say this multiple times today. Is you have to watch the game in the full landscape. Like, don't just look at the score and say, "Oh, Baylor lost," or they're 4-3 or whatever they are. Sawyer Robertson's not good. Look at those losses though, because they're putting up points. Just the defense is giving up more.
And honestly, that's a little bit of the problem with Taylen Green, also, who I have at number 13. Is that Arkansas defense is terrible, man. So it doesn't matter if they're putting up 35 plus points a game, but their defense is giving up more than that. Right. Offensively, they're probably they're doing their job with limited weapons. By the way, there. So Taylen Green has had a very, very good season. I kind of said he has a little bit more Anthony Richardson than he does anything else, just because again he's never been a winner. Whereas Cade Klubnik has been a winner. We've seen it. He won the ACC last year, took his team to the college football playoff.
Right.
So I mean, there's kind of a catch-22 there. You've proven it offensively, but your defense is terrible, so you're not going to win games because of it. It's just kind of a catch-22 there sometimes.
Right. And I mean, that's the easy way to get benched in the NFL, right? If your defense is doing it, it doesn't matter. Like, you got to go out there and make it happen. Like, if you know your defense can give up 35, well, then you need to go out there and put up 50 to make sure you give that cushion enough so when they mess up, right? Or make sure, that's the game managers, right? That they actually go out there and they run the clock out and they do it strategically where they're doing the passes, short intermediate passes just to stretch the field down and get down there in 12 plays rather than a 8-play drive to score, right? They're actually taking that time down as well. Your number 12, you said, was Taylen Green. Mine is going to be, I'm at 13. My 13 is CJ Carr out of Notre Dame. I mean, this is a guy that wasn't on my radar. He's new to my list here. 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 67% completion, 2,275 yards. Absolutely looking great. I wasn't high on him at all, but I'm surprised, with what they're doing at Notre Dame. He's looking nice. Obviously, they have Jeremiah Love, Darian Price. They have great weapons there, but CJ Carr is someone that is, keeping the momentum at Notre Dame. They have some losses to him, but yet he's still able to move the ball down the field, right? Obviously, as I mentioned, Love, Darian Price, they have big time runs that help him. But he's showing that he's not making those turnovers like you see some freshmen do. He's actually playing accurate. He's staying poised in the pocket. He has some ability to his game as well. He can move around if he needs to. But as far as extending the play, so I'm excited to see what his growth can be because I think there is some future hope for him. 6'3", 210. I mean, there's something I love there.
Yeah, he has the tendency to float some balls. He doesn't have just an absolute cannon for an arm. So I would like to see him get stronger in that aspect as he ages. But he's a freshman, so that's just going to be there. I think he will get stronger moving forward. I think he'll get a little bit bigger too. So that arm strength may actually come along a little bit.
For sure. Especially again, Notre Dame's a good system. They get pro ready, right, guys there. So it'll be nice to see what he can do as he grows further. My number 14 is John Machir. We kind of already hit on John Machir there. Phenomenal athlete. He did drop for me, or he's up one because I had him at 15. But I would have moved him up faster. But as you mentioned, the injury preseason or not preseason, but the injury that happened, it's kind of lingering, and that's kind of developed him. Had he been healthy, though, I mean, Oklahoma would probably be undefeated if he was healthy all season and really do something. Maybe not they had a loss with him, but Oklahoma would still be really nice, but he's good, but I still need to see more what's going to happen with this injury finally heals for him. Who's your number 14?
My number 14 is new to my list. Is Jayden Maiava out of Southern Cal. He coming into the season, I wasn't high on him as a Devy prospect. I thought he was just going to kind of be a guy that played well in that Southern Cal system, but just never really showed a whole lot. This year, he's showing off. He's got good mobility. He's really putting a lot into his throws. He's making all the throws, and he's playing smart. Of course, it helps when you have two elite weapons like Lemon and like Lane, but Maiava's he's doing great.
Lane just got shut down, I think, for the season too. But I mean, you mentioned the weapons. I mean, yeah. So like, we've seen it though, where some guys have a wide receiver like a Makai Lemon, and it doesn't look great, right? But it's looking special right now with USC and Maiava and what he's doing, and it's really transitioning because as you mentioned the year before, you're like he's just a go somewhere to get it done. He's doing beyond that. Excuse me. He's going beyond and getting it done. He's actually showing great ball skills, great placement. He's making it easier for Makai Lemon. Now, I do think Makai Lemon makes him better, but he's making the throws easy to say, hey, I know where you're going to be, get there, and I'm going to make sure you get the ball in that place too. So that's where you love to see those quarterbacks. 15, I have Malik Washington, another freshman, that absolutely looks phenomenal. He has the size there, 6'5", about 215, 220, I think.
I think it's closer to 240, honestly.
Oh, there you go. That's even better. Let's double check here to make sure I get my stats here correct. I believe if he wasn't at Maryland, we'd be talking a lot more about Malik Washington. But because he's at Maryland, we're not. But with him, you're correct. 231 is what ESPN has met. 6'5", 230. Phenomenal athlete, great size there. 2,000 yards passing, just below 60% completion, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Has some ability, 263 yards on the ground with 4 touchdowns. This is a guy that I could see a lot of growth in. I could see him do some big things here. Does Jayden still have eligibility? Maiava does. No, he's done this year, right? Jayden Maiava. Does he have 1 year of eligibility?
He's a junior. He has another year of eligibility left.
Okay, so there's another year. Malik Washington, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. I think there's a lot of growth for him to happen. While he was a freshman, came up and really showed out, especially because he's at Maryland. Again, if he's on another team, which he could transfer, we'll be talking a lot more about him. Right now, it's Maryland. There's not really weapons, but compared to Tagovailoa that was there last year, Tua's brother, it's a completely different system, completely different game at the quarterback. Like he's hitting his guys. There's a lot of wide receivers that I like at Maryland, but Tua's brother wasn't hitting them. Malik Washington will hit them. He's doing great at there. Any thoughts on him?
Yeah, there may actually be guys who transfer into Maryland just to be able to play with him. So I mean, he's an attraction himself.
And then your last guy, number 15, is
I've got LaNorris Sellers at number 15. Honestly, I'm not high on him, but NFL scouts love him. So I mean, he's going to get the draft capital. So another guy that who's going to get the draft capital, you got to take him seriously.
Right.
Even though I don't like his overall game, I don't think he's a very good passer, but he's a great runner and a very good athlete. So draft capital, right? I mean, kind of said the same thing about Anthony Richardson, draft capital. So we'll see.
He's going to be a combine star. Either the combine's going to make him or break him, right? If he goes out there and dominates the combine, we're going to see him as a top 10 pick. If he goes out there and doesn't, he's going to be a day 3 pick. Like, it's really going to be that bigger trajectory for him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if it were up to, if I wasn't basing this off of what NFL scouts think of him, I wouldn't even have him on my list. Yeah. I would have, I'd have JKS on there. I'd have Darian Mensah on there.
Right.
There's probably a handful of other guys I'd rather have on my list than Sellers. The problem is I'm kind of a slave to looking at what the NFL scouts think about him too.
That's what you gotta do though when it comes to it, right? Who's gonna really take that trajectory? And sometimes we talk about time and time again. We're like, well, what do you necessarily see in this guy? Sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, right? So it is what it is. There, we see it time and time again where they draft the wrong guy, and the next guy comes in. Lamar Jackson was number 32 overall, right? So, but let's talk about some guys that we had new. I just want to point them out, and then we'll talk about the guys that fell off. So Fernando Mendoza was number 3. He's completely new to my list. Ty Simpson was number 6, completely new. Sawyer Robertson, completely new, number 7. Then I had Darian Mensah, number 10. Jaron-Keawe Sagapolutele, number 11. Taylen Green, number 12. CJ Carr, number 13. And Malik Washington, number 15. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys completely new in my top 15 there. Who are your new guys?
Yeah, my new guys are Fernando Mendoza. He's at number 2. Ty Simpson at number 4. Brendan Sorsby at number 7. John Mateer at number 11. Taylen Green at 13. And Jayden Maiava at 14. That puts 6 on my list.
And so the unfortunate part is, as there are guys that rose into our stock, guys that fell off, as we mentioned, DJ Lagway, Devy QB1, man. I want you to be the QB1, so go out there and do something for me. It's hard when you don't have Dallas Wilson anymore and you got Ben, so we'll see. Garrett Nussmeier, what could have been, man. He thought the ball plays for everything. It just hasn't got together for that LSU offense, and he's unfortunately the big part of it, right? He's a quarterback. Cade Klubnik didn't make my list. There's hope for him. I get scouts will probably like him. He's probably going to be a day 4. I think he can't stick into day 2, but I'm not stalling him anymore. Eli Holston, I'm not going to talk about that, but that's a guy that I absolutely love this game. Yeah, that he just didn't do anything. Drew Allar, it's even if he did get hurt, he still would have made my list. He just hasn't been good this year, and really that whole Penn State team as a whole, I've been really not taking a shot on any of them at the next level. Sam Levet didn't make my list, out for the season as well, but just Tyson makes him better, I feel like. I bet Mensah is higher this time next year. Probably. I'm surprised no Jennings there as well. And then Carson Beck, again, didn't make my list. The losses have happened, and that really, he was on a roll where it's like, okay, he's going to be a first-round quarterback the way he was winning. Losses happen, and now we've seen a couple more losses, and it just hasn't been the same for Carson Beck, so they didn't make my list. Who fell off of your list?
Yeah, DJ Lagway, not listed. Could very well, I mean, depending on what happens in the offseason for him, if he gets Lane Kiffin there at Florida, or I mean, if he even transfers out and goes somewhere like a Texas Tech,
Right.
That Zach Kitley offense. Maybe you're looking at him moving back up. Garrett Nussmeier dropped off. I know, it's probably because of injury the way he's played this year, but it just hadn't been good. Sim Levet, same thing. After that Mississippi State game where he looked terrible, and they just completely shut him down, I completely dropped him off my list.
Right.
Drew Aller, I was never a big believer in him. I had him on the list just because of, kind of a guy who was going to get draft capital, but doesn't look like he's going to get it anymore. So he's completely fallen off my list. Carson Beck, Carson Beck is going to Carson Beck. He's always going to throw balls he shouldn't throw and get picked off a lot. He makes bonehead mistakes way too often. He's fallen off my list. And then Nico Iamaleava, just a bad situation there at, over at UCLA. He had it made being in Knoxville. He was going to, led the team. He didn't necessarily lead the team to the playoffs last year. The defense did, and Dylan Sampson did, but making kind of that boneheaded choice to leave and go to UCLA, and then not really playing great on top of it. I get it. They don't have any weapons there for them, but still, I mean, you got to do better than
what you're doing.
Than what you're doing.
Well, there's some quarterbacks that don't have any weapons that are actually doing good. I mean, or we say Cooper Bartek's a weapon at Duke, right? I mean, like Mensah's doing out there, doing great things for them. Sometimes as a quarterback, you got to go out there and make those plays to make your team better, and Nico has not done that. Those are our top 15, though. Those are some little analysis for each of them. Again, it fluctuates, right? This top 15, when it's all said and done, could be something different, right? Maybe something we don't like. We're going to go dive into all 22 when the season's over and really give the full analysis. But what we're seeing on Game Time right now, these guys make our top 15 here. So let's move into our games of the week here. Starting off with our big-time games. We have Notre Dame number 9 at Pittsburgh 23. This one should be a slaughter, but again, it's still two ranked teams. So Notre Dame's been on fire as of late. They're doing great. Jeremiah Love is really solidifying himself as the RB1 potential first-round draft pick there. As I mentioned, CJ Carr made my list. Pittsburgh, they're looking better, but it's still not the best. Hey, thoughts on the game?
College game day is there this weekend. To me, this game really hinges on is Desmond Reed going to play, and if he does, is he healthy enough to be able to make a difference?
Right.
Mason Henschel is playing great so far since taking over for Eli Holstein, and
I need the sad music, the wah wah.
Yeah,
every time we say Eli Holstein.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame is probably going to run away with this late. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I think Notre Dame probably runs away with it late in the game.
Keep it close, and all of a sudden they're up by 20 at the end of the game. Right. Yep. The next two games, though, I really feel are games of the week. Well, we have Oklahoma number 11 at Alabama number 4. Potential to be an upset. Alabama, as we mentioned, Ty Simpson's playing phenomenal. The team's playing phenomenal. Alabama looking really strong right now. Number 2 in the SEC behind A&M, but Alabama, I mean, they're a contender. Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, the way Oklahoma's defense is played, I mean, their front 7 is legit good. They can bring just multiple defensive linemen at you, just waves of them. And Ty Simpson better watch out, or else he's going to be on his butt a lot.
Yeah. That'll be a big one there. And again, these next two could really mess up the SEC and what they're doing, because now we have number 10 Texas at Georgia number 5. Texas has they could win out, but it's not going to be easy there. At Georgia is going to be hard, but this could really be the Arch Manning moment, right? If he goes into Georgia and really wins, this could really put him on like, this is what we wanted, right? Especially after the first week when he lost to Ohio State. Not a big-time matchup, and they've kind of rallied. You talked about earlier, going through that adversity. That's exactly what Texas has done all season. In all the media that's on Arch Manning, saying bust, saying Heisman, saying all these different things about Arch Manning. This game, out of the season, I think it's going to be the one that really defines him and what we see in him in the future.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big game for Texas. This is to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Mhm.
This game can really determine whether they have a shot at 10-2 or
Mhm.
whether they're going to go 8-4.
Right.
Because both are still on the table.
Mhm.
Because Texas has this game against Georgia, and then they also have A&M at for the last game of the season. So,
Yep.
you know,
And them's the best team in the SEC. It's gonna be. I mean, this one could push out Georgia too, right? I mean, you might get Georgia sneaking in there, but they could easily drop out of the top. You're gonna have to put. I'm looking at the rankings. You got to put Texas in front of them, and then Alabama, win or loss, we'll see. I mean, let's say it goes crazy and Oklahoma and Texas both win. I mean, that's gonna put Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia all at 8-2. They got Texas A&M at 9-0. That's it's gonna be
Ole
interesting.
Miss is in there too.
Ole Miss 9-1 too. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be. We're just this is the time that we like college football, right? When all this stuff can happen and chaos is about to just erupt there. But those are our games of the week here. Let's talk about our last bit here. The games to watch as we have a bounce back game, as we mentioned. BYU got smoked by Tech. I mean, I was actually embarrassed for them, but they came out and they have a bounce back game here at TCU at BYU number 12 now. This is their bounce back game, and this is the one to really show what they're about, right? A lot of teams we saw with Penn State, right? They took the loss to Oregon, had another bad beat, the following week. How do you bounce back from a loss, especially being undefeated? And a loss like that wasn't a close loss; it was a loss that you got beat.
You got beat
And
down. Yeah.
how do you bounce back from it? You're at home now. You have to rebuttal. You have to come out here and do some big things. So I'm excited to see what BYU does, especially for a freshman,
Yeah.
Bear Beckmeyer, right?
Well, and also BYU, to start the game had a lot of uncharacteristic errors. I mean, they muffed a punt and lost it. They went for it on fourth down, didn't get it. They had a lot of issues early in that game that they don't normally have. So with this game being back, at home for them, going up against a TCU defense that isn't very good, honestly. And they're also coming off a loss, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this is a good bounce back opportunity for BYU. They're still solidly in the playoff race. Only have the one loss. Big 12, if they win out, the Big 12 is going to end up having both them and Texas Tech in the in the playoffs, and they would actually end up playing again in the Big 12 championship game. So
right. For sure. So yeah, but they had to win out. Same with Texas. They both had to win out to be considered that, right? Then we have Utah number 15 at Baylor. Talk about the Big 12. Utah's right on their tails though at 15. So they're wanting BYU and Tech to lose. But Baylor, we talk about Sawyer Robertson, one of our top guys when it comes to quarterbacks. Absolutely phenomenal. But Dan Pierre out of Utah is doing some great things too. And they have Utah always has that sneaker defense, that sleeper defense where it's like you don't expect it, but they go and hit you right in the face. And when they hit you, you go down. Any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, and it honestly doesn't matter if Dampier's in the game or not, because Bird Ficken, had a heck of a game whenever Dampier missed.
Right.
Same type of player. Very solid dual threat guy. But this game to me is about who's going to score the most points here. Baylor can't stop anybody, but they score a ton of points. Utah doesn't really score a lot, but they don't give up a lot. So what's going to give here?
Right, for sure. Yeah, the good defense for sure, great offense too. And then our last one, Clemson at number 19, Louisville. This is really Clemson's out the playoffs. They're not getting in there at all. But Cade Klubnik needs to put on a show to continue his rise in drafts. I say, hey, I'm a good guy. So every game matters for him and what he's doing. Does have his top receiver in Brian Westcott. He does have some other weapons there. Louisville, though, ranked team. They look good. Someone we're not talking about enough is Chris Bell, right? The wide receiver who's a physical specimen on the outside there. Looking great, so this should be a nice game as well.
Yeah, Chris Bell's one of my favorite guys going into this next draft. He is probably a early day 2 pick. Honestly, he's going to be probably taken in the top 40 of the draft. Really good wide receiver, big solid body. Reminds me kind of a lot of I wouldn't really say Deebo Samuel as far as play style, but body wise, I mean, big thick guy like that. And then Clemson obviously has a ton of talent. They're just not really showing it off. They've had a really, really bad season. this game could get them back towards making a bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're what are they 4-5 now, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me go ahead and check here.
They may be 5-5. They're either 4-5 or 5-5. But just another
4-5.
Yeah, 4-5. There you go. So here's another opportunity for them to kind of move their way, trying to make a bowl game. And Louisville, I think only has 2 losses, so they still have a shot at making the ACC championship game themselves.
Yeah, there's some opportunity there for them. It'll be nice. I think this is more of a game for Clemson to come out here and just show that they have some talent there, and their guys to just say, hey, either you're transferring out or you're going to the draft. What's happening here? They really just need a shot, as you said, their talent there. That's all we have for you in this week's episode. As we mentioned our top quarterbacks there, our top 15 house transition. We are going to do our running backs next week, so make sure you are tuning in for us. Don't forget to follow us on X. I'm at the PPR, so my guy Tommy at Tom Harvey Sports. The Degens. If you're interested in drafting, winning some quick bucks, don't go do the promo code DEGEN, DEGEN at Fast Draft. Get your first deposit match there of up to $25. And then promo code for our Dynasty Trade Calculator there, DEGEN, DEGEN. Get the first one free. Go out there and check it out. We have tons of athletes in there. Figure out how you can best get the values for specific Devy players. All the quarterbacks we listed, go see your Devy rosters. Are some of them taken? I guarantee you Mensah may not be. JKS may not be. Taylen Green, CJ Carr, Brendan Sorsby, all these guys may not be taken. Maiava may not be taken. Go see what their value is and what you could do for them. Or if you're willing to drop, one of your Devy rosters, do we have them equal or higher value? Go check it out. The Dynasty Trade Calculator. Again, promo code DEGEN, DEGEN. Get your first month free. For the Devy Degens, though, that's all we have for you today. We will see y'all next week. Appreciate everyone tuning in. For myself, for Tom Harvey, appreciate y'all. Peace.